Hi, I'm Cathy Roe and welcome to Core Power Yoga. Now, when you hear those words, core power, you know you're going to use the muscles of your core. Specifically, that is the rectus abdominis, the internal and external obliques, and most importantly, the transverse abdominis. And also those muscles of the back. In some texts, they include the glutes, so I do, the multifidus, and the erector spinae, or those erector muscles in your back. We're going to pay particular attention to all of those, but even more so to our form, our proper form and body mechanics, because not only is that number one for injury prevention, but it's so beautiful. I'm also going to be sharing with you some Sanskrit names for the poses because that just enriches your practice that much more. The sounds of the Sanskrit names are just so beautiful, and as we all learn them and add them to our practice, it just makes it that much more amazing. So let's get started with our core power practice. This is a core power class, but we are going to be starting in Balasana, or child's pose. I think everybody knows that pose, right? In this pose, we like it because it makes your world a little smaller, right? It brings everything into you. You probably have your eyes closed and start taking some deep breaths. But what I'd really like you to notice is where that breath goes. So as you're in Balasana, or child's pose, I'd like you to really think about taking that breath into your back, right? Because your front is kind of squished over. And in your back, I don't mean up by the shoulder blades, but very low. The low rib cage will start to expand. Now, later on, we'll get into some other poses, and when we get into some of those other poses, you also breathe into your back like this. So this is a very nice opening for a core power class because you start getting the feeling of breathing into your back, which is where a lot of the relaxation poses will be after you work on the abs and the core. So let's take a few more deep breaths there, just low in your back, and it will start to expand. You'll get a little bit more lung capacity, and you'll be stretching yourself from the inside out. And that will bring you right up into this hands and knees. So we are going to start here with cat and cow. Inhale first. As you go to cat, notice that you contract the abs. You know, the rectus abdominis is getting smaller as the chest goes toward the pubic bone. And then as you take a deep breath in, you swoop and the sit bones go to the ceiling. So it takes a few times to really increase your range of motion. At first, you might not have a very big swoop or a very big arch, but you just go through it a few times and you get a little bit more range every time. Now, the ticket is to tuck under in the pelvis. We want to tilt under the pelvis as well as arch the back, and then lift the sit bones to the ceiling when you go into that cow. Again, here comes blowing out all the air. Exhale into the cat. Push your hands down, pull your belly button up, chin down. And then into the cow. Now you'll notice in cow, it's sort of like a banana, right? It's a big swoop. And you control it, of course, with your musculature. Now let's come to a flat back. Because this is a core class, we're going to start with a balance, one arm out and the other leg up. Why a balance? Because you know your core, it kicks in to stabilize you. So there's just a little bit of the beginning core, and that comes because your muscles are trying to stabilize. Let's come back into the center. We'll do the other side. Here we go. One arm, one leg. Keep the belly button pulled up. And just by virtue that we are in this position, your core comes to the rescue to stabilize you so you don't topple. Back to the center, we are going to tuck the toes under, hover the knees off, pull the belly button to the spine, press the hands down so that the shoulders don't swoop. Inhale, come up on the tippy toes, then push away the front of the mat. Here's your first down dog, and it's not a very big one because we came from hands and knees. Now the sit bones, they are trying to look up at where the ceiling meets the wall or the ceiling. Pressing the heels toward the mat, pushing away from the mat. Take a deep breath into your back. Knees are going to bend as we step forward and into this position, which is like chair. I love this because you can test out the mobility of your pelvis. You make the cat butt really tucked under. It's a big opener for the lower back. You can feel it. You just really get that round. And now inhale and swoop. Yep, here we are in the banana again. We're going to roll it all the way up, get the belly button to the spine, and stand super, super tall. Taking a deep breath in. Now the right arm is going to go down, and so is the right shoulder, not going to be by the ear. We lift up, and then up and over. The shoulders are down. You've got equal weight on your feet. Back to the top, and then that shoulder blade pulls down. Other side. Now, one thing we want to pay attention to is keeping equal weight on the feet, not tipping the pelvis at all, so the stretch is in the waist. Keep that shoulder blade down as you come down. Both arms up, inhale. Now, at the top of your mat, we are going to go back into a chair pose. This is Uttanasana. Your ears are right on the sides of your arms. Arms going to press down. As you do, put one leg back. Now see how you're on a diagonal? Look down at the foot in the back and make sure it's parallel. It probably wanted to turn out a little bit, but we want to keep it parallel to really get a stretch in the Achilles tendon and calf. From there, everything lifts up so you're nice and tall. Now, this is a very short crescent, but we're just starting out, so you want to, progress your stretches. Everything down, feet together. Other side. Now, stay in your tilt. Look at that foot. Make sure it didn't turn out, because if it did, like if you tried to go into Warrior One, you're not going to get the good stretch in the Achilles tendon and calf. We want to keep that alignment, all 10 toes straight forward. It's a very short little crescent, but it does the job on the Achilles tendon and the calf. Back to the diagonal on both feet. Let's pull into your chair pose and all the way up with a deep breath in. Now that little stretch, it did start to open up the calf and the hamstring, but really I don't think enough to go smack into Uttanasana. So we'll go to flat back first, bend your knees and hang. Arms come up overhead. Now we're going to use the latissimus dorsi back here. So as you press into cactus there, it's like your elbow is on a shelf and you're really pushing it down. So it's like a lat pull down, so you wake up your back. Now just to make sure you got your root lock on, you're going to Kegel. You pull up in the Kegel. Right here, the transverse abs, it's like that hot zipper of your pants is too hot and you are pulling your abs away. This is the Mula Bandha or the root lock. Now you'll notice when you do it, your tailbone stays down. But if you let go, you might turn into what I call a duck butt. We don't want that. Tailbone down, Mula Bandha. You really got the Kegel. Elbows come together. You'll feel your back opening a little bit and you will be tempted to stick your butt out, but don't. Now arms forward and to the side. Remember when I said we were in the banana? We are not doing the banana now. We're taking the pinky fingers to the back, lifting the chest only. So this is more like the shape of a candy cane. Straight up, and then from the shoulder blades up is where the curve comes in. You've got the root lock going on. It takes a lot of practice and skill to keep that root lock when you lift the chest. Let's come back around into chair pose and all the way up. Inhale. Careful not to shift your weight back to your heels and stick your butt way back there. Keep it forward as we come down. Here is Uttanasana, the first one. Bend one knee and twist away from it. Now you are twisting from the waist, not from the pelvis. I'm probably going to say that, I don't know, maybe 100 times in the next hour. You twist from the waist, not the pelvis. Back to the center, other knee bends, twisting from the waist. That is the thoracic spine. You're twisting away from the bent knee. And back to the center, both knees bend as we step back. Here is our first plank. Now this is the granddaddy of all core exercise if you do it correctly. So pull the heels down, pull the head forward. Your ears are over your shoulders. You've got the root lock. Your butt is tight. Your quads are pulled up. You're one long line. Inhale. Exhale up onto the tippy toes, then push away the front of the mat and press the heels toward the mat. Remember, we are trying to have more of an anterior tilt of the pelvis, meaning the sit bones go toward the ceiling. Let's bring it back into the plank, and when you do, you want to get the muscle memory of getting that core into place. Inhale. You are really pulling that root lock even here. Your butt is tight, your quads are pulled up, the heels are pulling down. We're going to hold it because this is a great core strengthener. We are going to do some Chaturanga push-ups so that the triceps become stronger. Now, Chaturanga push-ups involve the elbows coming into the waist. So put the knees down. Down 1, 2, 3, 4, and up for 1, 2, 3, 4. You could put your knees down like me if you want to, or you could do the whole plank. Your choice. Down 1, 2, 3, 4. Up 1, 2, 3, 4. Down 1, 2. Get the elbows into the waist and hover. We are going to line up the elbow and the forearm with the torso and hold that hover. This is Chaturanga Dandasana. Little hover onto your tummy. Now the toes tucked under. Get the tailbone a little bit under. Pull the pubic bone into the floor, but the belly button up as you come into Sphinx. This is the ultimate candy cane shape, right? You can't be a banana because the floor is there keeping you from your tummy sticking forward. Shoulders are down. You do not let go of that root lock. Whenever you're in a spinal extension like this, we do not want to crunch the back, the lower back. We want to bend from the top like a willow. Everything comes down and back into your plank. It's one piece coming up, downward facing dog. We're going to do those Chaturanga push-ups again. Do you know, it becomes much more enjoyable to do a vinyasa class when your triceps are strong enough to do those Chaturangas. Here we go. Down 4, 3. You could have a plank or put your knees down if you want. 2, we're taking 4 slow counts. Down 4, 3, 2, up 4, 3. Ears are over your shoulders. You might be tempted to like drop your head, drop your nose toward the mat. Don't do it. 4, 3, 2. You got the root lock, right? 4. So you don't want to let go of any of those principles of the plank. Chaturanga Dandasana. 1, 2, 3, and hover. for 4, for 3, it's a staff pose. Everything down. Now set it up so you got the butt tight, the belly button up. We're coming back into Sphinx. This is going to turn into a beginning Cobra because your elbows are going to come off. Cobra is Bhujangasana. So here we go. Press the hands down, the elbows off a little. Don't let go of the root lock. And, you know, some people can go up into a super huge Cobra right off the bat, but, you know, for those of us who aren't spring chickens anymore, we sneak up on it. Everything down. Pull all those principles into your plank. Downward facing dog. And back into the plank. Down for 2 counts. Down 1, 2, and up for 1, 2. Down 1, 2, and up for 1, 2. Down. This is the last set. And up for 1, 2. Down 1. But we are going to do the hover. Chaturanga Dandasana. Hold it. 2, 3, 4. And then on your tummy. Now, if you are like super limber, you could do your Cobra from here, pushing the elbows down. Remember, you have a tight butt. You've got the belly button to the spine. A lot of people can straighten their arms all the way. I'm not one of them. Everything down. We're going to float the Cobra by taking the hands off. Now, your root lock is still in place. Hands behind, squeeze the shoulder blades together and lift. Here we are in, it's a candy cane shape, not a banana. The feet are on the floor. The tummy is pulled up. The root lock is working. Now we're going to come up in one long piece. Downward facing dog. Knees bend, you step or jump to the front of the mat. Knees are bent. Coming into your chair pose, but if your back bothers you at all today, just roll up. Everything back up on the top. Opening it up. We're going to just stretch a tiny bit more. So I'd like you to just get the blood out of your head. And we do that with a little bit of a side to side. Remember, equal weight on your feet. All right, here we go. We're going to take a deep breath in. Come to flat back. Remember, you don't stick your butt out all the way over. Now we're coming into that swoop. This is Arda Uttanasana. Creasing the hip sockets, knees bend all the way back. Inhale. Exhale, chaturanga. Turn the toes. Get that root lock working before you go into the upward facing dog. Back to plank and downward. Right leg is going to split the dog. Now look at the leg that's still on the floor. It's parallel, right? Didn't turn out or twist or do anything weird. Tiptoe as you step through. Get the hips down, knee is over the ankle. You're going to twist from the waist. So the pelvis didn't go. If it does, and you skew the hips, that's what makes you topple, fall over. Practicing coming from the waist. Back to the center. Now that back knee can go down, the toe tucks under, keeping the hips pushed forward. See this diagonal? Then the front foot flexes, you stretch the spine long. So instead of collapsing over, we're trying to pull the spine long and crease the hip socket. You know, that crease up here, that's where the bend comes from, not the belly button. Front knee bends once more. Now come into that press where you have the diagonal. Turn the back toe under, try to keep your pelvis that low and just stretch the back leg out. Downward facing dog. Knees bend, step or forward into the chair, or if your back is not good today, then you roll up. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, ready for the other side. I change sides so I can watch the camera on the twist. Inhale. You don't have to move. Flat back over all the way. Hands come on the shins. Here's that smile shape or banana shape. It is a swoop. Crease the hip sockets. Knees bend as you step back. Now inhale. Exhale on your chaturanga. Pull the root lock upward facing. Into plank and downward facing. Left leg up. Do not do anything weird with that back, that leg that's on the floor. Step it through. Now, knees over the ankle as we lift. Hips are down. Back to the center. You know your knee and foot in the back, the 10 toes in the knee. Pay attention that they do not start aiming somewhere else. Your knee still aims straight down. And that is an indicator that you did not shift your hips. Back to the center, the front foot is going to flex as we tuck under that back. See that diagonal? In other words, you're not back here. Flex the front foot, stretch the spine straight. Back into the lunge, press the pelvis through. Back toe tucks under as you stretch that leg long. And downward facing dog. Holding it right there. Knees bend, step or jump to the front of your mat. Pull into your chair pose if your back feels okay today. Otherwise, roll up. Inhale and open. Open it up into that mountain pose so that you can have a moment to check. Feet down, thighs up, pubic bone up, tailbone down. Got the root lock, ears over the shoulders. Inhale everything up. Flat back over. We're going to do a few core planks. All the way over. Hands on the shins as you swoop. Yep, this is the banana or the smile. And come on down. Bend the knees. So if you're in the swoop, it's called gazing pose. A flat back would be Arda Uttanasana. Let's take it back. Lifting the right leg up. Now don't do anything weird with that bottom leg. It stays straight ahead. And then into your first core plank. Hold it right there. Remember cat? We're going to pull into a cat. You lift your back and tuck under in the tailbone if you can, so it's not the hips. Come on down. Take it back into your split dog. So we don't want to look like we went up into cat because we lift your butt up, right? Hold it there. It is your back, and you're pulling your thigh towards your chest. Back to normal, and then take it back. Here's the third one. You're in a nice long plank. Now use the rectus abdominis. That is the six-pack muscle. It flexes the spine. Come on to normal, but that knee comes down, and we take it in a side plank. You know you could always lift that bottom leg if you want to. Back to the center, there's the core plank, and you're in downward facing dog. Knees bend, step or jump to the front, into that chair pose, inhale. All the way up, find the mountain pose so that you can remember the root lock and how everything lines up. Deep breath, I'm going the other way. You can stay at the top of your mat, inhale. Flat back all the way over. Hands on the shins. Now you can flat back it here to Arda Uttanasana, or gazing pose is like a cow. Hands on the floor, knees bend and step it back. Chaturanga. Upward facing, pull the root lock into plank and downward. Left leg up, but the leg on the floor didn't do anything weird, right? It's straight ahead. Come on into the core plank. Don't lift your butt, lift your back, middle back, like in between the shoulders. Come on back down and split the dog. There's 3 of them. Here's number 2. You're in plank. Pull the thigh towards the chest as you contract the rectus abdominis. and back down. One more time. Here we go in the middle. You're in a plank. Pick up the back, not your butt. Back to plank and put it down. Side plank. If you like, you can always pick up that bottom leg, which is kind of like half moon, Arda Uttanasana. Or you could leave it down. Back to the center, downward facing dog. Knees bend as you step or jump. Put the weight on the heels. When you go to chair pose, your weight goes on your heels all the way up. Inhale. I'm going to turn. You stay at the top of your mat. Come on back into chair pose. Now, pay attention. The knees squeeze together. The thighs squeeze together. The feet are exactly lined up because we are going to twist. And you know when you twist, you do not want one foot to get more weight than the other. You do not want one knee sticking out further than the other. That would indicate that you are twisting from your hips or your pelvis. We want it from the waist. Now take those deep breaths in to stretch from the inside out, like you did in child's pose. Everything back to the center and all the way up. All right, here we come around. Put the weight on the heels, into the middle. Twist without the knees or the pelvis or the feet or anything moving, and twist from the waist. Keep breathing. Now those sit bones, they're pointing straight behind you so that you're like a tabletop. One long line from the tailbone to the top of your head. Back to the center all the way up. Inhale. We're going to the top of the mat. Inhale. Flat back. Don't put the weight on your heels. Keep it on the whole foot. Hands on the shins. Come to flat back if you like. That would be Arda, or fingertips on the floor and banana. That's more like gazing pose. Hands on the floor as the knees bend. Step it back. Find the principles of that plank, and then chaturanga. Upward, pull the root lock into plank and downward. As that right leg floats up, tiptoe, step it through, and make sure your foot went way up where your hand was, so the knee is over the ankle. And here we go into your nice long crescent, much longer than we did, at the beginning. This one is really nice and wide. Come to the diagonal, and when you do, you'll be able to pull that back heel down a little bit more. Pull the root lock, twisting from the waist like we just did. See, we don't want to twist the hips because that would make you fall over. From the back heel pushing down into the mat to the top of the head, pulling in the other direction, you're one long line. You're still using the root lock. Back to the center. Now keep your hands together. Stretch that front leg and come as vertical as you can. Keep that vertical line as you bend the front knee. Now come to the diagonal, and there you easily just let your arms fall to the mat, and you're in downward facing dog. Knees bend as you step or jump. Now this time we are going to hit Uttanasana. And then reverse the dive all the way up, and you will be in your Chipana Mudra. To the side, remembering that equal weight is on your feet, and you did not shift the pelvis to the top. So you don't want to stick your hip out to the side. You just want the stretch to be right here, not because you stuck anything out. And back up to the center, tailbone down, right? Ears over the shoulders. You got the root lock. Inhale, we're going to do the other side. Exhale, flat back it all the way over. Hands on the shins for flat back if you like. That's Arda Uttanasana or gazing pose too. You could do. Crease the hip sockets, take it back. Now pull into all those principles you know you need for the plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Turn the toes to upward root lock. Into plank and downward. Heels toward the mat. Sit bones to the ceiling. Splitting the dog. Now look at that bottom leg. It's straight ahead. It didn't turn out, right? Up to tippy toe, step it through so that bottom, the back leg, the knee is exactly to the floor. All right, here we go. Let's lift it on up into your big long crescent. Now we do come on diagonal. That way you can pull that back heel a little bit more toward the floor. Pull up that quad in the back, twisting and not taking the pelvis with you. It's from the waist. That back leg, the knee is exactly to the floor. Those 5 toes back there, straight ahead. You're kind of tempted to turn it into, you know, like a pigeon toe or the other way, but you want to keep it straight ahead. Back to the center, hands pushed together. This is a hard balance. We want to get as vertical as possible as both legs straighten. Now keep that vertical pulling up as the front knee bends. Beautiful. Onto the diagonal where your hands easily find the floor. You did not collapse. And downward facing dog. Knees bend, stepper forward. Don't skip Uttanasana. Here it is, Uttanasana. Reversing the dive all the way up. Deep breath in. This time we're going to work a little bit on the obliques. So one arm comes down, other arm over. Now you're not on one foot or the other, equal. When this arm comes up, it's going to pull, give a challenge to the obliques. You are not a duck butt. You are pulling that tailbone down. Back to the center. When you do a lateral stretch like this, sideways, you don't want to be a duck butt back there. Everything lifts. You want your spine pulling straight and long, up to down. When you do that, bow to the side. Inhale everything up. Got the root lock, right? Here we go. Flat back over all the way. Hands on the shins. Come to gazing pose or Arda Uttanasana. Crease the hip sockets. Knees bend. Step it back. Take a deep breath. Exhale, Chaturanga. Turn the toes to upward facing root lock. Then plank and downward. We're coming now to warrior one. So we are going to split the dog. Tiptoe up. Step all the way forward so that the knee is over the ankle. Now before you come up, turn that back foot so that your hip turned out. And that's what made your foot go to the side a little bit like that. This is warrior one. It is easier than crescent. That back foot is, gives you more of a platform. So you have a level pelvis. If your pelvis was a bowl, nothing would be spilling. Arms come to the side. Whatever leg is in the front, that arm comes under. These are the same arms we use for Garudasana or eagle pose. Now pull this tailbone down, level out the pelvis. This is like candy cane, not banana. So from right there, we are going to lift the chest. Nothing happens to the pelvis or the pelvic bowl. We are opening up the back as we do the chest lift. Everything back to the center. That one's hard. Arms open and behind. Do not become the duck butt. Lift the chest. Open it like the candy cane. And then crease the hip socket as you go over and knuckles to the ceiling. Everything drops. You're in your beautiful warrior one. Now stretch that front leg. See how vertical you are? Stay that vertical as you bend the front leg and lift your chest. Now turn the back foot and hip so that you're once again in crescent. You don't want to go down with your knee pointing to the side. You want to go down with your knee pointing toward the floor. Into the diagonal so you don't collapse. Downward facing dog. Knees bend, step or jump. We are going into Uttanasana. Then you reverse the dive all the way up. Inhale to the center. I'm going to switch sides so I can watch you. You stay where you are. Inhale. Tailbone is down. Flat back all the way over. Hands on the shins, flat back, Arda Uttanasana, or you can swoop it into gazing pose. Crease the hip sockets, knees bent, step it back. Inhale. Exhale, Chaturanga. Inhale, pull that root lock. And downward. Here's the left leg sweeping up. Come to tiptoe. Now look at your front hand. Put your foot all the way there. Before you come up, you change your back hip and lift. Now these two bones, they're still dead ahead. It's just from the hip socket. You can see here, my back foot turned out to like 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock. The bowl of the pelvis, it is level. Arms forward. Whatever leg is in the front, that arm goes under. Now get the tailbone down. So when you lift the chest into a candy cane, you do not stick your butt out. So here we go. It is just the lift. Back to the center. Arms open up, hands behind. Do not come on duck butt. You've got the level pelvis. You've got the chest open because the shoulder blades are squeezing towards each other. Crease from the hip socket up and over. Coming back, replace the pelvis into where it is level once more. We're going to stretch that front leg. Now see how vertical you are? Just pull your knee forward to bend into a beautiful warrior one. Now the back leg is going to change. It goes into crescent. Then you go to your diagonal. The arms float down so you don't collapse. Downward facing dog. We are going to go into a plank. All those principles, all of them. Heels down, root lock, butt is tight, ears over the shoulders. One hand goes under your face and we come into a side plank. This takes a lot of oblique strength. Takes a lot of strength from a lot of things, right? If you want to pick up that top leg, that's cool. Back to the center. Center it out. Put your feet together. One hand under your face. You could stack your feet. You could put them side by side. But the point is you got to keep your hips up and not sag. So you don't look like a hammock. You're one long line. Back to the center, into that plank, holding right there. Now in between your shoulder blades, lift it up. So you don't want to be a valley in between the shoulder blades. Inhale. Exhale all the way to downward facing. Knees bend, step to or jump to the front of the mat, but hit Uttanasana first, then unfold. So those warrior poses are called the Virabhadrasana. So we just did warrior 1, Virabhadrasana 1. We're going to Virabhadrasana 2. Inhale, or warrior 2. Flat back comes over, crease the hip sockets and fold. Hands on the shins to Arda Uttanasana. Hands on the floor, step it back or jump into your Chaturanga. Upward facing. Into plank and downward. Now the right leg is going to lift up. Come to tiptoe so you have a lot of room between your hip and the floor. Then make your back like a cat. Step it through. Before you come up, you change that back leg, and then we pinwheel. Back foot, the edge is even to the mat. Front foot, you've got this thigh pushing back over the toes. Pubic bone. Belly button, xiphoid process of the rib cage, up here to the throat. One line, it's not here. One line long, like you're standing straight up. And then that profile is what really gives that angular, beautiful look to your warrior 2. Now the arms are pulling. You want energy out of the arms. Just holding, get the tailbone down, get that pelvis level. It's not a duck butt. Now pulling your spine as long as you can flip the top hand. Do not crunch the vertebrae. Keep the pelvis level so that the stretch is right here. It's not because you arched your back and became a duck butt. Pull it back into that warrior two, Virabhadrasana 2. Now here's where we slide out. Now you feel all that weight over your front leg, huh? Yep. And then come right back up. And slide out. You'll feel that weight over the front leg. And come right back up. That is the Uttita part of Uttita. Here we go. Uttita Parsvakonasana. This arm does not lay on this leg and help you. This arm is there for looks only. Or you could have it straight. We want a nice, long, straight line all the way down. It's a beautiful slope. A lot of weight over that front leg. Get the thigh back over the middle toe. I know you can't really look at it, right? You got to feel it. Now level out the pelvis once more and come into your warrior two. You've got to use the root lock and pull the tailbone down. All 10 toes come forward. We are going to do something that I learned in a Kundalini yoga class, and that is you pull your root lock on your way up. So I'll show you. We're going to come down into that twist and hold. But on your way up, don't think of your back. You just make really strong legs, and you pull the root lock on your way up. So in your mind, it is the root lock that pulls you up. Other way. Let's hold for a sec. Don't send your butt back. You want your weight on your feet equally. Now think of the Kegel and the abs pulling away from the hot zipper, and it brings you up. Get the tailbone down. 2 more. Take it onto that twist. Hold it right there. Your hips are not behind you. You got equal weight on the big toe, baby toe, and heels. And now here it comes. Pull the root lock, pull the abs away from the hot zipper as you come up. Whew, it's a lot of work. And the other side. So in those Kundalini classes, they do all sorts of things to strengthen the root lock and the lower abs. Here we go. And the Mula Bandha, the root lock, Mula Bandha. Arms come all the way up. We're going to turn right back out into that warrior two. Virabhadrasana 2. Turn it into your lunge. Flat back it over. Downward facing dog. Knees bent, step or jump to the top of the mat. Now get the legs stretched into Uttanasana. Drop your head. Then you unhinge it all the way up. Inhale. Whew, let's go to mountain pose. Get the blood out of your head for a second. Realign everything. We're ready for Virabhadrasana 2 on the left side. I'm going to change. You can stay at the top of your mat. Inhale. Tailbone down. Here we go. Flat back. Equal weight on your feet all the way over. Hands on the shins. Comes to Arda. Fold from the hip socket. Step or jump it back into your Chaturanga. And upward facing, into plank, then downward. Left leg splits the dog, up to tiptoe, steps you 3. Turn out that back hip, and then you pinwheel up into your beautiful warrior 2. Check out that back foot, should be equal parallel to the mat. This thigh in front, push it back so it's over at least the second toe, right? And pull that tailbone down, level out the pelvis, press those lower abs in and up, pull the Kegel so you've got the Mula Bandha. Now stretch your spine as long as you can, because when we flip it into reverse warrior, you don't want one vertebrae just like crunching into the one underneath it. So you try to really extend. And back into warrior 2. Now pull that tailbone down and pull the root lock up. Here we go. You're going to take it out into the Uttita. You feel the weight over that front leg, right? And then back to the top. Reach it out. Getting that front leg ready. And we're back on the top. Here we go. Take it out. Uttita Parsvakonasana. Stretching through the spine. That baby toe side of your foot on the floor, it's on the floor. So you're one long diagonal line. All the way back up into that warrior two. To the front. A little quicker this time. Down it goes into that twist. Now pull the root lock on your way up. Number 2, down. And pull the root lock on your way up. Oh, it takes a little bit of practice to get that muscle memory working. And one more time. All the way up. Inhale. Turn it out. Back into warrior 2. Now you got to change the back leg. And you're into a lunge. Flat back forward. Downward facing dog. From here, the knees are going to come into the mat and we will return into Balasana, child's pose, breathing into your back. So you are just breathing. Because this is a core power class, we are going to go on with some core asanas. But first, just take a little break. Okay, coming out of your Balasana, we'll be sitting tall. Now, when you're sitting tall, you really want to be sitting tall. Pull the root lock, press the shoulder blades down, come on a diagonal hinge, not a C, but you are still lifted in the chest. You could put your hands underneath if you want, if you need help for your back, because we do not want to collapse the back. We want to squeeze the thighs and knees together, arms out, chest is up, shoulder blades are down, and this is Navasana, boat pose. Now pull that root lock, get your chest up, get your shoulder blades down. Navasana, it is strengthening the erectors of your spine, also the hip flexors. Everybody thinks this is about abs. Not so much. If you can lift your chest, we are really trying to strengthen the back and the erectors. Feet come flat, legs turn out. This is sometimes called frog, but the real name is Parsvakonasana. Inhale. Well, the Sanskrit name. On the diagonal first. Now wiggle, wiggle, so your sit bones go behind you and you can be on a diagonal and then take it forward. Now remember at the very beginning when you were in Balasana, child's pose, how you were breathing into your low back? That's what we want to do here. Rolling all the way up, we're coming down to your back. We're going to be doing a pose called, in Kundalini, it's called stretch pose. I've heard people in asana classes call it canoe. So in order to keep everything safe, we're going to do a half first. Now this area right here in your back, I want you to pretend like you have a grape and you are squeezing that grape into the floor. Yes. Now pull the root lock and press your abs away from the hot zipper. You could do it with your head down, but let's try it up here. If you get too tired, then you just put your head down. One leg goes on the top. Now squeeze the grape. Down 1, 2, 3, and hold it. Squeeze the grape. 1, 2, 3. Squeeze that grape down as you lift. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do it again, because later it'll be both feet at the same time if you want to. Down 1, 2, 3. When you get there, squeeze that grape down. 1, 2, 3. Squeeze the grape down harder as you come up in slow motion. 1, 2, 3. It's on the way up when you squeeze the grape is when you really feel it, right? Here we go. One more. Down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Squeeze the grape down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now squeeze the grape down harder on the way up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Both legs up and the other leg down. Let's try the half again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Squeeze that grape down behind your belt. 1, 2, 3. Now squeeze it down harder as you lift. 1, slow, slow. 2, 3, 4. 2 more. Down. 1, 2, 3, 4. And holding. 1, 2, 3. Squeeze the grape down harder. Come up slow, slow, slow. 3, 4. I know you got to feel your abs. Down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Holding, squeezing that grape. 3, 4. Now squeeze it down harder in the grape behind the belt. Slowly up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Knees down. We are going to just relax your abs for a moment as we come into a bridge or a little half bridge. Now, if you drive your heels into the floor, you're going to get the pelvis up a little higher. You're going to feel the glutes. So we just worked the front, right? Now we want the glutes to work, the back. So we keep on going back to front, back to front. In a lot of textbooks, the glutes are considered part of the core muscles. So get those, drive the heels down, get the glutes up. So we're really working the other side. If you think you're ready for the full stretch pose and doing both feet, cool. But if you have any doubts at all, take it easy. It's easy to hurt your back, right? It's never worth getting hurt over a yoga pose. Everything down, legs both up. Now, in Kundalini, they go here with their hands. For me, I'm just not quite ready for that. So I put my fists underneath my hips and I squeeze the grape. All right, here we go. Down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now squeeze the grape down even more as you come up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we go again. 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. If it's too much on your neck, put your head down. 2, 3, 4, and squeeze the grape down. 1, 2. I will demonstrate putting your head down. Here we go. But you got to really squeeze the grape if you put your head down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Squeeze that grape down behind your belt. 3, 4. Squeeze it down even harder as you lift. 1, 2, 3, 4. Knees to the chest. So that is canoe or stretch pose. That was the front, so here comes the back. Feet are going to be flat. Drive the heels into the floor as you lift the pelvis. Now put the knees together and put the feet together. Lift up in the hips, down in the heels. You'll feel the glutes. And then one leg up if you like. Don't feel pressured to do it. You could just do it here if you like. Now remember that feeling of squeezing the grape with your belt? I want you to do that as you lower this leg. So it's not really the bridge pose that we're going for here. What we're going for is some glute work on the back. So you squeeze that grape down a little bit behind your belt and you drive your heel into the floor so that it's the glutes and the hamstring in the back that we are targeting. Everything back up, roll down, both legs up, because that was a lot on the glutes, right? All right, the other side. Knees are tracking straight over your feet. We're not really concerned about doing a big bow here in this. We are working the glutes. So put the ankles together, put the knees together. Now drive the heels into the ground, push the glutes up. And here comes the other leg. Now push that heel into the floor. If this is enough for you, just stay here. If this is just too much, then you put both feet on the floor. Now get that feeling of squeezing the grape under your belt as you lower this leg. So this is kind of like stretch pose, but you're holding it up with your glutes. Push that heel down, press that glute up. It's as hard as a rock, right? If you touch it, then we come back up to the top. Everything lowers both legs up. Knees are going to come into your chest. So we work the muscles in the front and in the back. Now we're going to go into that bridge pose. So up it goes, your legs are a little bit apart, and you can squeeze your shoulder blades towards each other, pull the knuckles down, and we're trying to kind of get the candy cane thing going on with the chest lifting. So it's a heart opener. Deep breath. Your knees are still tracking over your feet, so they did not splay out. Everything rolls down. Knees come to the chest so that we make your back go the other way. From here on in, we are stretching. Feet are flat. As you tuck the chin, come all the way up. The legs are going to go straight out in the front. Inhale. See how you're in L? We crease from the hip sockets. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle those sit bones behind you. Flex your feet. Come forward on the diagonal and then over. So we worked a lot of core, a lot of strength, but we still want to get in some stretching. Now remember that feeling of breathing into your back that you had when you were in Balasana, child's pose? Here's where we do it again. Everything rolls up. I'm just going to turn to face you. We're going to bring one leg up into tree pose. Deep breath in. Here comes a nice long stretch. Wiggle off the sit bones and you are over. Everything rolls up. That leg is going to go to the side. Reach out like if you were going to Uttita Parsvakonasana. Extended side angle. Everything over, just a big stretch there. Come right up on top, and that leg that's long, you're going to look in that direction. You cross it over, hold on, but look in the direction of where that long leg was and twist. Back to the center, both legs long, shake them out. And here we go for the other side. So deep breath in, on the diag, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle those sit bones back. Take the diag over and deep breath. Everything rolls up, one leg out to the side, reach through that extended rib cage, Uttita style, up and over. Now, that long leg, that's the direction you're going to twist towards. You pick it up, put it on the top, get both sit bones down, hold on, and twist. Back to the center. Knees are up. As we roll down, we're taking it toward the end, guys. Legs come up on top. Just relaxing. Now you see how your tailbone and the top of your head are one long line? When we do the hamstring stretch, we don't want to tip the tailbone up or do a posterior tip of the pelvis. We want the tailbone to the top of the head to keep that one long line. So you can just hold on to the thigh or the calf. One leg lowers. Shoulder blades are down. If you had a strap and you wanted to use it, that's always nice too. But what we are really doing is lengthening from the tailbone to the top of the head. Now, when this leg comes back up, you've got to push down the grape that's behind your belt. You ready? Push that grape down and lift that leg. So we always want the abs to assist. All right, other leg. Keep everything super long. Chin is down. One long line from the tailbone to the top of the head. Both shoulder blades are down. If you had to make your leg go lower, that's okay. But what we want to do is keep our alignment. We're going to lift up that bottom leg in a sec, and you know when you lift it up, we want to use your abs, the core, to help you and not let your back be at risk. So push down that grape and then slowly lift that leg up, and you'll be using the abs. Knees are going to come to your chest. Legs back up against the wall. We are going to happy baby. The Sanskrit name is Ananda Balasana. So flex your feet, take them a little bit apart. We don't want to make a ball. So keep your back on the floor. Lower the knees to the armpits until you can get your feet. So the crease comes from the hip socket creasing, not from the tailbone going up. That's happy baby. Shoulder blades are down on the floor. Happy baby is for the hips. Legs stretch back up the wall. This little inversion just lets the fluids go the other way, and hopefully it lets your abs and glutes relax. They had so much work to do today. Knees bend, arms to the side in a T. Now you feel your shoulder blades on the floor, right? That's where they're going to stay. When the knees go one way, the hips follow, so it's a twist of the waist, but this time it's the pelvis moving and the top twists the other way. Both of the shoulder blades stay on the floor and twisting from the waist, everything up. Other side, this twist comes from the waist as the knees go. So the knees go one way, the torso the other. Take a deep breath. Back to the center. And then everything relaxes into Shavasana. This is corpse pose. Everything just goes relaxed. It's very, very nice. If you have something dark, you can put over your eyes. Deep breathing. Let's take 3 deep breaths in now. And remember to take them low, low into the diaphragm. Seeing if you can feel those breaths in your back like we did before at the very beginning. And as you are ready, you'll just rotate the wrists and rotate the ankles. Get a little movement into the periphery of your limbs. And finding yourself over onto the right side in fetal position so that you push your way back up into Sukhasana. Sukhasana is this cross-legged sit, but you feel a little root lock. Arms are going to float up overhead, but the shoulders stay down. Hands find themselves together up overhead, pressing all the way to the heart center. Until we meet again, which I hope is very soon. Namaste.